Now, in addition to caring for the land and water, stewardship winners have also raised the bar when it comes to protecting and enhancing the wildlife habitat on their land. In fact, ranches across the country support a lot more than just cattle. The same land that provides food and open space for raising cattle also offers a home for many types of wildlife, including threatened and endangered species. These award-winning ranchers see the growing populations of wildlife as a sign that a thriving cattle operation can live in harmony with nature.
Our livestock and wildlife, they run together, and you can really see a difference, especially in the increase in our wildlife population. We get an increase in wildlife population due to the fact of our grazing rotation systems and that we don't overgraze our land so the wildlife have more food to eat.
Anytime that you see wildlife and that they're doing well and perhaps their numbers are maintaining or increasing, we get pleasure out of that and know that we're doing a good job.
We had a rule in our family that we never clear more than 60% of our land. And I think that's why we have so many endangered species and so many eagles. We've left that inhabitants form and they've lost it somewhere else and they've come to our land.
The cattle and wildlife do extremely well here coexisting. Has to do with the dense cover they have on both sides of this meadow, the food they forage on in this meadow, and specifically the management practices we do that the white-tailed deer like, the wild turkey like, and of course the cattle too. And that's basically a short rotation of the cattle in and the cattle out, plus the times that we turn them in here. We don't let the cattle in to disturb the deer when they're fawning or to disturb the hen turkeys when they are laying and hatching their eggs.
We have to balance our cattle production with native wildlife production, because in this part of Texas, the value of native wildlife really far exceeds cattle values, and the cattle are an important part, though, of our management program. Really, without cattle and using cattle as an ecological tool, we wouldn't be able to have the success we have in managing native wildlife habitat.
Since we have turned to a more sustainable way of farming and ranching, the wildlife numbers have exploded, so to speak. White-tailed deer, sharp-tailed grouse, pheasants, coyote, fox, mink, wild turkeys, a myriad of raptors, plus a lot of other non-game species all make their home on the ranch, and it's really good to see.
The things that we do for cattle most of the time are very beneficial to the wildlife. As we do our normal cultivation practices, we try to maintain a mosaic of landscapes that help to give the wildlife the type of cover and habitat that they need, and also provide for the cattle and their needs.
We found that if we really manage things, water, grass, forbs, trees, for our livestock, we're also doing that for the wildlife. And then we've added a lot of extra things such as waters for the quail, extra water for all of the wildlife on the ranch, and so they go hand in hand.
Ultimately, wildlife, and they live off grass and a lot of the growing plants, so you have to maintain an environment where you consistently have that supply for them. Stewardship ultimately is taking care of the land, the animals, the wildlife, developing a system that maximizes the livelihood of everything.